Hi, this is a demonstration of how to do two-color brioche knitting in the round. So the brioche knit stitch, which is usually denoted as our BRK, is just knitting the stitch that's there together with the yarn over that it's associated with. So you just knit those two together. The little bit trickier part, I think, is doing the slip stitch with the yarn over. So whenever you're doing the slip stitch with the yarn over, you always bring your yarn to the front and then do your slip stitch and the yarn over. And you can do it in a smooth process once you get going, but if you just always remember to bring it to the front, that's really helpful. So then you do a brioche knit stitch, which is just knitting the stitch together with the yarn over that's there. So bringing your yarn forward, make sure that it makes sure that the tail, the leading edge of the yarn over, is in the front, and then it straddles and goes to the back. It straddles the stitch that you slip, and this just sets it up so that it's easy on your next round. Like here, it's easy for me to knit those two together because of the way I set them up on the previous round. So it's bringing it forward and slipping the stitch and doing the yarn over. So knit those two together. And once you get back to your round, your final stitch is going to be a slip stitch with the yarn over. So you just want to make sure that you don't lose that yarn over by bringing the next color up underneath and over the top of that of the color there that you just finished with. And you only do that when you're switching from the main color to the light color. When you're using the other color, you'll be ending with an actual purl stitch, so you won't have to worry about that yarn over. But in this case, we have the yarn over. So on the next round, I'm using the contrast color, and with the contrast color, the pattern will tell you I start with the yarn over slip stitch. So like I said, you always bring your yarn to the front and slip the stitch and then do your yarn over. And the next stitch is a brioche purl stitch. So that's BRP, and a brioche purl stitch is just purling the stitch that's there together with the yarn over. And then again, for the slip stitch, you bring your yarn to the front, but in this case it's already there because I'm purling, and then slip the stitch and then do your yarn over. So purl them together. If you accidentally do your yarn over first completely and then slip the stitch, you'll notice that the slip stitch is not over the top of, or the yarn over is not over the top of your slip stitch. And you really want your yarn over to be associated with the stitch that you're slipping. So slip and yarn over together. And then do those two. When you're doing brioche knitting, you're always working on the column of stitches that your yarn is associated with. So right now I'm working on the dark color, which you can see is kind of recessed in between these two lighter color columns. And so since I want this column to be recessed right now, I'm purling it. If I wanted it to pop forward, I would just knit it. You can see that a little bit better in this this cowl pattern. It's called the sea petals, and you can see that there's a wave of the lighter color coming forward. So in this case, my darker color was kind of my main color. So in this bottom section, I was always, whenever I was working on these columns of the darker stitch, I was knitting them. And then once I got to a point in the pattern where it tells you to start purling those columns, that's why they started recessing when I started purling them. But you can see here, you're still using, whenever I was working on this column, I was using the dark color. But here I was knitting the stitch together with this yarn over, and here I was purling it. So here it pops forward when I'm knitting it, and here it recesses when I'm purling it. And vice versa, when I was working with the yarn with the light color, down in this section, the light color is recessed, and so I was always purling the light color columns. And when I got to here, I wanted the light color to pop forward, so I started knitting those light colors. Again, this is the Sea Petals cowl, and it has a matching drink cozy. Thanks for watching.